What does the concept of a cult make you feel? It's a strange sort of horror, a horror that doesn't necessarily need to make you scream. It doesn't directly involve blood, gore, or jump scares. Rather, the horror behind cults lie in their connotations of unease, losing humanity, watching people become obsessed and surrender against their will. Insanity was something that audiences just cannot comprehend. It's what makes cults so popular in modern media. They explore the aspects of control and manipulation rather than the oversaturated jump scare after jump scare. And they really, really work. ReZero is an anime that you either love or hate, but what everyone can agree on is the sheer insanity portrayed through the witch cult. It's what makes the show so horrifying yet entertaining. Forget the flashy magic, overpowered characters, and anime girls. For all its surface appeal, ReZero is, at its core, a psychological horror disguised by pretty faces. Currently in the anime, the witches cult are the driving force behind the show's most horrifying moments. Their madness, cruelty, and obsession twist the story into something far darker than your typical isekai. Every scene with them is unsettling, from Betelgeuse's insanity, Sirius's obsession, Capella just being damn weird. The whole cult is crafted in a way that instead of a traditional horror aiming to kill the protagonist, the author makes it feel like as if the cult deconstructs every character to its bones, stripping away meaning, twisting love into obsession, hope into desperation, and making you and me curled back in disgust. The Sin Archbishop of Sloth and the major antagonist of Arc 3, Betelgeuse. It was how I really got hooked onto the show. I mean, Arc 1 and 2 were amazing and all, but Arc 3 is when the show really developed into the psychological thriller/horror that I was talking about. And it's all because of this one really insane dude, who first appears in episode 15, titled The Outside of Madness. This is widely known as the best episode of ReZero ever, and arguably the best anime episode of all time. Betelgeuse first appears in a wet cave, staring into Subaru's face as he wakes up from getting knocked out after fighting fodder. And literally just look, is this not the face of some insane psycho? Betelgeuse encompasses what a cultist should be, a character foil to Subaru, a person who's devoted fully to his cause so much that it's driven him insane, where he treats self-harm as a way to cope. I mean, he bites his finger, dripping blood, immediately after Subaru just wakes up, chained in this cave. Like, what the hell, what a warm welcome. And look at him posed up like elbow macaroni. This type of posture just reeks of insanity. Why I like Petelgeuse so much is just because he's a character that does his job. A cultist so truly insane that the audience isn't just scared like regular horror. The only way I can describe what he makes viewers feel is a deep, disturbing what the fuck. He speaks almost childlike, repeating what he says in parallelism, which just shows how the witch cult has made him go insane and created an obsession with the Witch of Envy. His movements, his speech, everything about Betelgeuse is simply insane, a perfect cultist. The show's been building up to show how insane the witch cult is, yet Petelgeuse still breaks out expectations with the level of insanity he portrays in episode 15. But what makes his character as a cultist even better is his backstory. Season 2, episode 43, The Day Betelgeuse Loved. A lot has happened since his first appearance. He's dead now, and this episode follows Amelia's past, which just so happens to include Betelgeuse. We are familiar with the name now, and after a season passes of different antagonists, we are reminded by the disturbing character of Betelgeuse, his insanity and his obsession. But this episode is different. Betelgeuse is sane. We see him again in a flashback sort of thing that really isn't a flashback, but it's the best way to describe it. There's a bunch of lore and backstory here with Regulus, Pandora, and Echidna that I don't really care about enough to cover, so let's just talk about the contrast between pre-insanity Petelgeuse with modern Petelgeuse. We see in this flashback in the past that Petelgeuse, who just went as Goose, was once a sane spirit that was corrupted by the Witch of Envy's curse and the sloth factor. This episode flips everything we know about him, from an insane, disturbing villain to a compassionate, loving, and selfless spirit. He's literally a foil of himself. This version of him is almost painfully normal, sane, and humane. It makes our hearts break when we realize his downfall and how his love, compassion, and humanity has been twisted into obsession, insanity, and devotion. Betelgeuse wasn't born a monster, he was made into one, by the witch cult. It's tragic, really. In my opinion, the other cultists don't hold the same level of insanity and obsession towards the Witch of Envy as Betelgeuse, and that's intentional. They are all devoted to the Witch of Envy, but for different reasons, usually to justify their own desires. They are incredibly deep characters, unique ways of portraying cultists, and are part of the reason why I enjoyed the witch cult as an antagonist so much in ReZero, but not what I promise you. Except for maybe Sirius and Capella. There's a lot to unpack with them being cultists, but I'm not bothered, so you can deal with only one Archbishop for now, maybe later. The witch girl and rezero is what got me hooked with the idea of cultists, and I swear I'm not a cultist myself, that I see why authors consistently try to implement some idea of cultists in their stories to represent obsession, madness, and insanity. Because it works.